It's worthwhile thinking about Brexit and thinking about who gains from bringing the EU and the UK, separating those two things, okay? So it's worthwhile when you're thinking about these things at a high level, what's going to happen with Brexit, it's worthwhile thinking who gains from it, who benefits from it. And if you look at who took the UK out of the EU, it was a guy primarily called Nigel Farage, who was a commodities trader turned politician. So he worked for a big bank, and then he got to work trying to get the UK to leave the EU. Now, he was actually one of 5 people who came from the big banks to try and get, and I promise you this is going to go somewhere, to try and get the UK to leave the EU. So there was 5 bankers all working to see who would get traction to try and get the UK out of the EU. Nigel Farage just happened to get lots and lots of traction through UKIP, and so the other 4, you never get to hear about them, but there were 5 to begin with, okay? So Farage wanted to get the EU and the UK to split. Why? Well, because the EU has got massive amounts of controls around capital and capital transparency between marketplaces. So if you're looking to hide money, it's actually very, very hard to do in the EU. It's very, very hard to do in the EU because there's a lot of controls between banks and things like that, all right? All the banks talk to each other. Now, why does that affect us? Well, right now in the UK, Brexit is probably going to go one of 2 ways. We're going to have what's called a hard Brexit, where the UK will leave the EU with no deals whatsoever, which will then mean that all of the banking secrecy acts that the UK is currently a part of, thanks to being in the EU, banking secrecy acts, they will disappear. And what will probably happen is the UK will become a tax haven. That's probably what will happen under that guise. All right, so that's Brexit Mark 1, and we'll talk about that in a second as it relates to Amazon. Brexit Mark 2 is what's called a soft Brexit, which is something called a Norway-style deal, or being part of something called the customs union. And for us, as laymen, what that means is England or the UK, for all intents and purposes, will still be in the EU, but they'll get to assuage all those people who wanted to leave the EU by saying, oh no, we're not really in the EU, we're now just part of the customs union, all right? But for all intents and purposes, nothing will change. It'll be the same thing. So there's 2 possible outcomes. Outcome number 1, hard Brexit, means that banking secrecy, and there'll be lots of people who want to hide money and turn the UK into a tax haven, will be pushing for that. If that happens, that's going to make some very, very interesting opportunities for Amazon sellers, because right now, as far as Amazon's concerned, other than Germany, which is its own separate entity, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, most of the products that are sold on Amazon come from the UK market, So if there's a hard Brexit, there will be lots of opportunities to sell products directly to France, from France, directly to Spain, from Spain, etc., etc., etc. It'll create heaps of different opportunities that currently don't exist, because most sellers simply keep all their products in the UK and then ship them from the UK to the rest of the EU, because it's a single marketplace. So if it's a hard Brexit, there'll be lots of opportunities. If it's a soft Brexit, then things will kind of stay the same anyway, and there'll be no new opportunities other than the intrinsic opportunities presented to us selling in the EU. So I hope that makes sense. I know I kind of took a bit of a roundabout way of getting there, but I wanted you to understand the different forces at play, to think about what drives these decision-making processes, and to position ourselves ready to take advantage of them. All right? So I know it's kind of a long-winded way of getting there, but I hope that gives you some understanding about what's happening with Brexit, why it's happening with Brexit, the outcomes that are likely to happen, and what that means for us as Amazon sellers. For us as Amazon sellers, a hard Brexit presents unique opportunities for us. In fact, anecdotally, or not even anecdotally, literally, the reason I am currently in Portugal is because of, I think, it's a very good chance that we will hard Brexit. If they hard Brexit, my UK passport will be worth shit. And that's why we're currently in Portugal, because normally what we do is we have 6 months in Portugal, 6 months in Australia. Right now we are full-time in Portugal because we're wanting to get EU passports for our girls. Me and Natasha, we're wanting to get EU passports for our girls, so they've got opportunities going forwards. Hard Brexit, of course, means the UK passport is worth shit in the rest, as far as the rest of the EU is concerned. So we're here to get passports for the girls, because I think chances are very good there will not be a deal reached, and that deal, no deal has not been taken off the table, so we will need EU passports for our daughters. So it makes a lot of reasons why we're there. Anyway, hope that's useful for you. I don't want to go too deep into it. I could, but I don't really. But I hope that gives you at least some things to think about when you're thinking about these things at a high level. Hey, thanks so much for watching that video, and I hope that you got some massive value from it. Before you go, do you live in Australia? If you do, this is for you. Would you like to learn how to sell things on Amazon here in Australia? Would you like to know what sells really, really well and what sells for the maximum amount of profit? Would you like to know where you can source those products from, whether that be in China or here in Australia, and how to source them so you pay bottom dollar and get maximum value for what you're doing? If you do, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and you'll learn that and much more. It's the exact same information that people like Jeff from New South Wales I've used to make $45,000 a month on Amazon, that Sue, who's from the sunny coast, has used to purchase herself a brand spankly BMW every single year as a result of her e-commerce business, and the lovely Kate from Bowral in New South Wales has used to make $32,000 a year on a month, not a year, a month on Amazon, and indeed Anthony, who makes $15,000 a month on Amazon, selling, as he puts it, odds and sods. If you'd like to learn the exact same information that they use to maximize their profits for their Amazon businesses, subscribe to this video, like my channel, post below if you want me to teach you something. Okay, I'm out of here. Speak to you soon. Bye. Subscribe. Do it now.